Welcome to Traveling While Black.
Hey, what's up? I'm Anthony, this is my wife Marley, and welcome to another episode of Traveling While Black.
Yes, welcome back everyone. As a brief reminder, our show is based on our experiences traveling, and we base those experiences off of how good of a drive it was, how much fun we had, and most importantly, how comfortable do we feel as Black people visiting for the first time.
Welcome to the first of two very special episodes. See, for the next 2 episodes, we are taking the show international to visit 2 destinations that we had never visited before.
Yes, for this first international episode, we are taking you to South America, and more specifically to the Galapagos Islands, a destination that we never thought in a million years that we would be able to experience.
Special thanks to the Black Travel Alliance who made this trip possible. Now, within the episode, you will learn more about the BTA and their mission.
Yes, and we are so thankful for this opportunity to be able to go to the Galapagos Islands, and we're really thankful that we're able to share it with you all as well.
So we hope you enjoy this longer episode and also learn some more facts that you may have not known about the Galapagos Islands. Also learn of a great option that you can use to experience the islands, and of course, learn what our perspective was as Black travelers visiting for the first time.
Yes, and be sure to come back for next week's episode as we take you to Quito, Ecuador. But for now, don't leave. Watch this episode on the Galapagos Islands.
And as always, let us know what you think. Situated in the Pacific Ocean, a little over 600 miles off the coast of Ecuador, lie the remote and mesmerizing archipelago of the Galapagos Islands.
The Galapagos Archipelago is comprised of 13 major islands, 7 smaller islands, and a multitude of rocks and islets, each with its own unique ecosystem that include an exotic confluence of ocean currents and volcanic landscapes.
While 4 of the islands themselves are inhabited, the area is also home to a variety of creatures that are adapted to this unique environment, many of which are endemic to the islands. The most iconic are referred to as the Big 15, which include the Galapagos albatross, the blue-footed booby, the red-footed booby, the night-sky booby, the Galapagos penguin, the flightless cormorant, the American flamingo, frigid birds, Galapagos sea lions, Galapagos fur seals, Galapagos hawk, the marine iguana, the land iguana, the Santa Fe land iguana, and of course, the famous giant Galapagos tortoises.
Another aspect that makes the Galapagos so special is that the islands offer unparalleled opportunities to observe wildlife up close, because this is a place where animals have no fear of humans.
Beyond the island's unparalleled natural beauty and the opportunity to experience unique wildlife up close, the Galapagos Islands also have a connection to a major scientific contribution.
On September 17, 1835, a 22-year-old Charles Darwin visited the Galapagos Islands, a part of his voyage aboard the HMS Beagle. Although the main purpose of the voyage was to chart South American coastlines, as an amateur geologist, Darwin was presented a unique opportunity to study geology and natural history on the island.
During his time in the Galapagos, Darwin encountered an astonishing variety of wildlife and also observed variations in species from one island to another, particularly among the island's tortoises and finches. These observations would be critical in developing his revolutionary theory of evolution by natural selection.
Thanks to the Galapagos Islands acting as somewhat of a living laboratory, Darwin would go on to publish On the Origin of Species in 1859, and by doing so, advancing a view of the development of life on Earth that profoundly shaped nearly all biological and much philosophical thought which followed.
As you can see, there are many reasons why the Galapagos Islands are beloved and held in special regard. And no wonder why many prospective visitors view it as a once-in-a-lifetime adventure.
But it's also the reason Ecuador makes such a concerted effort towards conservation of the area, like establishing research centers dedicated to protecting and preserving local species, requiring visits to certain islands be accompanied by a park ranger or certified guide, and even limiting the number of tour companies allowed to operate within the area.
Lucky for us, we were able to find one of those tour companies. After booking our trip with said tour company and having brushed up on our knowledge of the Galapagos, we were super excited to take our very first journey to the majestic archipelago that time left untouched. Travel grade. So, there's more than one way to explore the Galapagos Islands. But what seemed like the best way to us was to hop on a cruise ship and sail from island to island. And what seemed like the best company to facilitate that was Hurtigruten Expeditions.
Hurtigruten Expeditions is a company that has been in operation for 130 years, so they know what they're doing. That's why the company does offer a variety of expedition tours. But of course, we chose their Galapagos Expedition.
How it works is, guests board the small but luxurious MS Santa Cruz 2 and cruise through the archipelago, stopping at a pre-selected island during the day to experience different excursions and activities.
In the between time and at night, guests can enjoy all the amenities, which include breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a panorama bar lounge, cozy cabins, a library, a sky deck, a fitness room, a hot tub, and even free access to washer and dryers.
Our experience went like this. We landed at the airport on Baltra Island, where we waited in the VIP lounge for the flights carrying the rest of the cruise guests to land.
Once the last flight touched down, we loaded onto buses for a quick 5-minute ride to the pier. There we were assigned life jackets and then loaded onto a dinghy that took us to the MS Santa Cruz 2.
You will see if the activities and experiences planned by Hurtigruten made for a fun experience in our level of fun segment. But in regards to the experience on the ship while getting to and around the islands, we couldn't be more pleased.
Yes, everything was better than I imagined, from the perfect coziness of the cabins to the daily delicious meals that kept us filled.
Even the wash and dryer came in clutch.
Yes, we weren't wrong about a cruise being the best choice for experiencing the Galapagos, and definitely not wrong about Hurtigruten Expeditions being the best option to facilitate.
That's why we give this experience a 5 out of 5 for travel grade.
Level of fun. The first thing that stood out about the Galapagos Islands was the fact that just pictures don't do it justice. I mean, it was more beautiful in real life.
Yep, everything was as expected. Right off the bat, we had our first encounter with the local wildlife. It was surreal seeing a sea lion just napping under a bench.
Seeing the close-up of the snoozing sea lion was just the tip of the iceberg for the crazy, awesome experience we were about to have.
The first day after leaving Baltra and getting settled on the Santa Cruz 2, we headed to Mosquera Island and disembarked. There, we walked along the beach that was filled with colonies of sea lions.
The one sea lion on the pier was just a drop in the bucket compared to the multitude of sea lions we would see on the beach. Along with the sea lions, we saw crabs, frigate birds, and some iguanas.
While waiting for the return of the dinghies that would carry us back to the ship, we were able to catch a beautiful sunset. This was the perfect cap to the first day of our journey.
On day 2, we arrived at San Cristobal Island, where we had traveled to during the night. Feeling like a champion, we chose to embark on the more challenging hike Hurtigruten offered.
Yeah, you can say we felt like a champion, but what really motivated us to take the 3-mile inland hike from our disembarking spot was getting to a natural area for giant Galapagos tortoises.
We can't lie, the hike was hard, it was hot, and the landscape was reminiscent of a desert. But when we started coming across giant Galapagos tortoises just existing in their natural habitat, we can say the hike was worth it.
We probably saw about 8 tortoises total, and considering that we were standing on the very first island Charles Darwin landed on in 1835, it made it even more surreal seeing the iconic creatures he first encountered.
After spending some time with the tortoises, we hiked back to the dinghy, making the trek 6 miles round trip. You know, we really wanted to see those tortoises because I never thought I would hike 6 miles in the heat.
After a break and some lunch on the ship, we sailed to the other side of the island where we disembarked, hopped on some buses, and headed to Cerro, Colorado to check out the giant tortoise breeding center.
The Cerro, Colorado Giant Tortoise Breeding Center was established in 2000 after a 1995 research study revealed that the tortoise population was stressed by feral cats.
As a result of the center's breeding efforts, the tortoise population has increased from 500 to 6,700. Pretty dope.
We were only at the end of day 2 and we already experienced a fair share of giant tortoises. We couldn't wait to see what day 3 was to bring.
On day 3, we were just halfway through our 6-day expedition. The plan for the morning was to hit Santa Fe Island. There, we would have the chance to see the Santa Fe land iguana, which is only found on that island.
As soon as we landed on Santa Fe, we were met by a colony of sea lions. Once on land, we hiked up the rocky terrain to see more local animals. We saw land iguanas, swallow-tailed gulls, and even the famous Darwin finch.
Along the way, we also learned some pretty interesting facts about the island and its local wildlife. Like Santa Fe is the only island where the land iguana breeds with the marine iguana and creates a new hybrid species. Or, like frigates, fly through clouds, so to bathe. And when we saw the Nazca booby, we learned that it is the largest of the boobies, with the blue-footed booby being the next largest and the red-footed booby being the smallest.
Yes, it's a pretty eventful morning, but we weren't done. In the afternoon, we headed to South Plaza Island, an island that would make you believe that you were on another world.
Legend has it, this is the island that Steven Spielberg was visiting when he saw a giant tortoise and was then hit with the inspiration for his famous character, E.T.
There was not a dull moment on the rocky hike, as the local wildlife was very active.
And we mean active. I mean, we even came across a pair of Nazca boobies getting it on.
With all the encounters with wildlife and the beautiful landscape of multiple islands, the journey so far had been amazing.
And to think, we were only on day 3.
On day 4, Hurtigruten had quite the day planned.
We will be spending all of this day on the island of Santa Cruz. We first landed at Puerto Aurora, where we visited the Darwin Research Station Giant Tortoise Breeding Center, which is the headquarters of scientific investigation, conservation, and the National Park Administration.
During our visit, we toured the park and the museum. We learned of the ongoing efforts to restore and protect the local ecosystem, from battling invasive fruit flies to trying to increase tortoise populations, and of course, a lot of giant tortoises.
Including the dome-shaped tortoise that can get up to 700 pounds. But one of the most fascinating tortoises we learned about was the symbol of the national park, Lonesome George. Lonesome George was found as the world's last giant tortoise left on Pinta Island. George, who was brought to the park, would be the start of the center's reproduction program.
After the visit to the Darwin Research Station, we were off to the next activity Hurtigruten had planned. Some of us loaded onto vans to head to a local sugarcane farm where Ecuadorian moonshine was made. Others of us chose to ride a bike to the sugarcane farm.
Yep, this morning I was feeling like a champion because I chose to be among those who chose to ride the bike 2.5 miles to the farm. It was actually a great ride, even with it being a bit of a workout. But after the ride, getting to sample some of the moonshine on the farm was definitely a nice payoff.
After the moonshine, we headed to Rancho Manzillo, where we enjoyed a delicious lunch and then walked the farmer's field to see a bunch more wild giant tortoises just living in their natural state.
We really did enjoy our tortoise field day on Santa Cruz Island. But for day 5, we thought it'd be about time to try and get close to some ocean wildlife. So the activity we chose on day 5 was snorkeling off the beach of Gardner Bay on Espanola Island.
Gardner Bay is a beautiful beach with fine sand and littered with sleeping sea lions. As for the snorkeling, I wasn't really feeling it off the beach, which I thought would be easier for us being that we aren't experienced snorkelers, let alone strong swimmers.
Plus, the water that day wasn't very clear, so we really couldn't see any animals. But we did have some interesting encounters with some pesky mockingbirds that are endemic to Espanola Island and also a cantankerous sea lion.
Although we failed at snorkeling the day before, on day 6 we were determined to have a successful experience at least once, so we mustered up all the courage to do the deep water snorkeling excursion.
That morning, we departed on a dinghy around Santa Cruz Island and disembarked to snorkel along Eden Islet. This was a success, as we actually saw some ocean wildlife.
It was a lot of fun, especially since this was me really stepping out of my comfort zone. We had so much fun that we signed up for the afternoon deep sea snorkeling excursion, which took place around North Seymour Island. With the currents being strong and the waves being choppy, we may have bit off more than we could chew.
Still, we had a blast while we were in the water. Thanks to even better visibility, we saw more wildlife and some pretty dope ones at that. Snorkeling all day was the perfect way to spend our last full day of the expedition.
Finally, on day 7, we packed our bags and said our goodbyes to the staff, crew, and guides and headed back to the mainland to board our flights back home. Looking back on our experience in the Galapagos, we had a blast.
Look, it's the Galapagos Islands. How can you not have fun? But our experience was even more enhanced thanks to Hurtigruten Expedition's guided itineraries. We can say that we did do a lot, and even though it did feel like a lot, we kept wanting to do more. Because like the captain said to us on the first day, statistically, this would be the only trip for most of us to the Galapagos.
So whether it was snorkeling in the pristine warm waters, experiencing the awe of the giant tortoise up close, or even getting chased by a sea lion, we had a lot of fun and made memories that would stay with us forever.
In summary, we obviously recommend putting a trip to the Galapagos on your list of desired destinations, and of course, recommend Hurtigruten Expeditions as your tour provider. That's why we give a 5 out of 5 for level of fun. Comfortability for Black people. So, how was our experience visiting the Galapagos as Black travelers? Well, there are many contributing factors on this journey that lend it to how we felt.
First, the staff of Hurtigruten Expeditions. Every individual representing the company was friendly, welcoming, and very accommodating.
And the company itself is taking action. We noticed on our trip that most of the other passengers were of a certain demographic. This is also recognized by Hurtigruten, and why they're being intentional in attracting more diverse clientele. They are even intentional about making those considerations in their hiring of guides and other staff.
Even though the other passengers consisted of a majority of a certain demographic, it didn't matter because they were another one of the factors majorly contributing to our comfort level. Everyone we encountered was friendly and engaging.
Believe it or not, we even ran into some fellow Seattleites. Another big contributor of our comfort was the fact that we traveled a part of a group of fellow Black creators. As we mentioned, our trip was sponsored by the Black Travel Alliance, a professional nonprofit organization created in 2020 to encourage, educate, equip, and excel Black travel professionals in education, media, and corporate positions.
Yes, click the link to their website in our description below for more information about the Black Travel Alliance. Of course, all these factors lended to us having a very comfortable experience, but we have to mention the most obvious and possibly most significant contribution to our off-the-chart level of comfort during our visit to the Galapagos, and that is, for the place notoriously known for its nature, we would naturally expect to be comfortable.
Yes, because as you know, nature is for everyone. And because of that, it is no doubt that nature absolutely, positively loves Black people. Yes, we had a great experience visiting the Galapagos Island, and we are sure that you will too.
That's why for our experience in the Galapagos Islands, we give a 5 out of 5 for comfortability for Black people.
We hope you found this episode to be helpful and entertaining. Be sure to check out our previous episodes.
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on all of our social media platforms.
Until next time, beautiful people, stay up, stay true, and do you.